Well, for our next match, we have Hunu versus Scout. In
Ooh,
a group that is a little bit, has a little bit less progress so far. Let me just set that
but
up.
two players that are a little bit more equally established, I feel like. Hunu has been around, Scout
Oh,
has been around, and Scout actually has a recent showcase in SMC where she has participated, which
yeah,
is
they
a
did
pretty
participate in
important
SMC.
accomplishment.
So one of our SMC participants did qualify via the ranked slot. So nicely done from them. And now let me get the
So
scoreboard
yeah,
updated so we have that making some sense.
Scout is out and about and pretty not bad herself. Hunu, I feel like people, well, a lot of people have not necessarily been looking at Hunu, mostly looking past him, but he can provide some results if it's interesting. The group is also very hard for both of those, I think, because both Lev and Skrulus have shown some important competitive results in the cups. So it is, in theory, on paper, in my personal opinion, a match for third. But who knows how things will
Yes,
go?
this group does have some very strong players, as you mentioned. Lev and Screwloose. Lev T and Screwloose are kind of the favorites to get out of this group, but I really think either one of these players in this match could find an upset, particularly if you only need them to get into second place. First place would be difficult, I think, for either player here, just because of the strength, the absolute strength of the top of the group. However, I think it's very reasonable to see one of them find like an upset over Screwloose or something. Screwloose can
Well,
be a very swingy player after all.
it will all start here. A win here will set up you for a position to sneak the second place, or maybe potentially even the first. Who knows? Uh, After all, but before we start, what venues are we actually gonna see? What was the draft?
The draft was Scout starting off with Bullet from Above, which
Ooh, we've
again
just seen that one.
has. We did just see that one with Balcony, Aquarium, Terrace, and Moderne. Hunu picking Culture Club, which has gallery, ballroom, library, and pub. No balcony ban this time. Um, Instead, looks like Hunu banning pub and Scout banning aquarium. And then balcony then is our first venue.
Oh boy. Balcony is a very weird venue. It's why people have been banning it for ages, but in my personal opinion, it's best either at the very start of the set or the very end of the set, and here we have the first one. So,
Yep. Let's get it going in three, two, one. Playing it. Yeah, a balcony is very difficult sometimes to explain. It's so small, and you would think that means there's not much skill expression, but there's quite a bit. But it's all in the very very small minutia, and it's a lot of it tends to be in the sniper's head as well.
speaking about skill expression, Hunu has already talked. On balcony, not on balcony, it is a very big thing because usually it takes what 2 to 3 talks to finish flirt and one more talk for banana bread, and then you can shoot. But here, Hunu just
Banana
pressing pedal
bread.
to the metal. Very, very quick first talk. Even if it's not a flirt, it's still noted by the sniper.
Yeah,
And there's
green
going to be a green banana bread to follow up.
green banana bread is a very nice one. Look at this party. There's one low light in there, but other than that, it's three highlights, and none of them are us. Neutral light on two rocker here though. The party is. It's really hard to tell exactly what's going through the sniper's mind at any given time. We use the highlights in a big way to figure out what's going on, but it looks like Hunu, with what's happening so far, is not thinking about trying to actually finish missions here. Wants Scout to shoot an AI.
There could be a cool bug potentially. It's
Yeah,
not likely.
oh, we
Ooh,
go for the
that's
bug!
old.
But Scout sees it.
That ambassador path looked so nice. Just him bumbling around, but unfortunately we versed our angle in the conversation. means
Yeah.
that our hand sticks too far out.
Yeah,
And
it was
even with
a
staff, unfortunately, that leads to our demise.
that's one of those bugs that you really have to just take it or leave it. It's such a short window of time to have that opportunity, and Hunu goes for it. Unfortunately, just as you mentioned, sticking out a little too far because of our angle and conversation. Scout finds the shot on our first sniper game on balcony. So on to the next one here. We have Scout playing as Rocker.
And the fun thing about balcony is that it kind of randomizes your scoreline before you get into the rest of the set.
I wouldn't
So
say
let's
randomizes.
let's see if the coin favors Scout here on Spy.
In three, two, one, playing it. I will still continue to protest against using the term coin, but it does tend to have, a little bit of an extra amount of variance that not all venues have. Starting off with a 34% flirt here, unfortunately, you always really want to have those green tests when you're playing balcony. Those can be so big. 3 green is almost impossible to shoot.
Apologies for using the term coin. In the meantime, do you know if Scout has a very expensive monitor?
No, not terribly expensive, 60 hertz, I believe. So,
Big
and
shame.
and this being showcased by the 2 white tests, alas. But they
Oh
were
well.
they were 2 flirts in like the timing of them wasn't exactly like a timer flirt, even though we didn't move because our SD did leave the conversation and come back. So it doesn't really look like we've been flirting in terms of timing. So that could
And
be
we
a
are
useful thing.
still on pace to finish flirts in time, but we will need to get a little bit closer if we want to do that. Also,
Smallman.
Banana Bread hasn't been sounded yet, and that might be a huge watershed moment here.
Yeah, Smallman still out of conversation. Finally about to join, looks like. But now
Do you really
Sorry
care
leaves.
about the double agent not being in this conversation? As far as I recall, it's not seen to the sniper, so getting a Banana Bread done here now just will make us shoot
And the end of it.
the highlight.
I'm concerned that we might get pegged for flirting with Smallman, actually. Do we have
Ooh, that would
time?
be bad.
Do we have time here? As
No,
far
I
as
don't think we do.
I don't know if our flirt cooldown is done in time, or if it is, it's gonna be below 10 seconds. We're gonna have to go for a bug
We
here.
are
We
gonna go
do.
for a bug that is visible, and
We're
we're trying to
dancing.
dance. Let's see, 6 seconds, 5 seconds, 4 seconds. Nah, you're not gonna dance that far.
Yeah, the party was not thick enough there for a dance, and unfortunately, I think just one green test in there somewhere, on the flirts would have net Scout a win, but no green tests anywhere, and it is 1-1 coming out of balcony.
Unfortunately, we were a little bit too high. I'm sorry, tall for that play.
Little too tall. We were not Smallman in that game. But speaking of Smallman, we're not playing him this game, but it is a Smallman venue. It is Gallery. We have Seek on the spy side from Hunu. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Coming out of balcony with a 1-to-1 scoreline, I think is gonna be a relief to most people who would usually ban balcony, but those people didn't ban balcony, so I think both of them will be quite a little bit unhappy without getting their way on that first venue.
Yeah, you can never be too upset with a 1-to-1 on a venue. Of course, you would always prefer 2-0, but I think that's just that feels like an obvious statement to make. I would prefer to win more games than fewer games.
I would prefer to win games, full stop. In the meantime, we have actually ended up inside Queen on that conversation pad, but Queen has left long ago, so the evidence against us has dismantled itself. It seems
Yes.
like, which is nice.
Those positions and conversations aren't as bad during time of chaos because they happen between AIs if both AIs are pathing to the conversation at the same time. The big problem is if you join someone and you look like that and they were already in the conversation. That's what AIs don't do.
And we have been mentioned Genzo's quick flirts in the earlier set where Gentleman has had a little bit of an issue with spacing here. But Hunu, actually quite quick, pre 85% here. Unfortunately, it's our only progress so far, but on the other hand, that might mean we are waiting for a very explosive late game, so we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit hard to have an explosive late game on Gallery, though, just because of how spread out things can be. We are going into green books here to pick up a fingerprint, looks like, along with Duke. We get there first, so it is an easy fingerprint, and Duke was actually the one who got the highlight, not us.
Where's the whales, there's a way. I've definitely seen some people get with much crazier rushes. But for now, fingerprints means that we are setting up for that little bit of a slower game. Maybe go into that second bookshelf, although I definitely do not recommend it because it might just look like we're transferring here.
Well, I mean, if it looks like we're transferring, you can still look for the actual animation if you're Scout. So it might actually be even help to misdirect Scout a little bit by not by noticeably not doing the microfilm. And if you're focused on the microfilm, you might miss the fact that there's a fingerprint on there.
Banana bread.
Contact is going to knock out a lot of guests. So look at this. Four,
I mean, of
five,
course, it's gonna knock
6,
out a lot of guests, but on the other hand, it
that's
is
7.
gallery. You are gonna take that contact, and you're gonna be happy for it.
Unfortunately, it wasn't a real.
And we're bugging the second time as well, going to that same bookshelf, which is nice because we did not go to the other one, but
Scout's not
it's
sure.
still the second bookshelf visit, which is why Scout is a bit unsure about if it was a transfer or not.
But the fact that we didn't get that contact, like a real contact there, is really bad for us. Having the contact and then just 7 lowlights, right? That's a lot of lowlights to give up for no mission progress.
Flirt is done. 35 seconds on the clock. The beeps are about to start. We need to find 1 second fingerprint. And the
a
fourth
contact.
mission.
But I think once we contact, because Scout did briefly highlight us after that
Banana
bug.
bread.
Here comes the
Green
contact.
test.
More lowlights. So many lowlights.
That green test will definitely help us quite a bit with our pace, and we don't need to wait until we stop talking or something like that. But we need to get at that bookshelf before anyone else gets a book out. And
Uh-oh.
Salmon Me looks to be our
Salmon.
adversary.
We have to run for it.
No.
It's going to be difficult. It's a green, though.
It's gonna be a green.
Overtime. Oh, and Scout shoots Duke. The wrong target there. Saw, I like it seemed that they saw this bug briefly, but then didn't.
I mean,
brought it back down.
Duke is moving right next to the ambassador. It kind of looks like he's trying to go get a panic back in the last waning seconds of the game, so it definitely makes sense why the shot was made.
I'm a little surprised that worked so well. I mean, Duke of course did, did have other progress and was a big suspect here. But if you look at these last 10 seconds, there's literally no mission that Duke can do. He's walking the entire last 10 seconds. There's zero possibility of Duke ever, create... Oh, wait. Nope, never mind. As you mentioned, sorry. Duke does walk past the Emba here. Although it is...
Duke is rushing to the Emba for a bug, and he's very happy that Emba is moving in his direction. I don't think it would take.
No, it most definitely would not take. They don't bump off each other at all. So there's zero chance it could take. But I think perhaps just the confusion of overtime, Scout did not evaluate that quite correctly. And Hunu gets away
the
with
other
game.
important thing is Duke has been off screens there for quite a while before that point. So who knows what he was doing in the front here.
Yeah, seems like Scout just wasn't quite on the bug, wasn't quite on the fingerprints. But, always a chance to bring this back on the spy side, playing as Bling Twin here. We'll get that going in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Well, the sniper side is easier, which means that now Hunu gets a chance to get ahead.
Early flirt out of Scout here.
And both people actually leave, which is pretty nice if you're playing against someone who would flirt pair. Because you would expect the spy to be the one leaving first, because they have things to do and places to be, but...
Indeed. 51% flirt. We don't see a timeout out here in the front. Perhaps wisely, Hunu is zoomed out a lot of the time here, but there's not many people out front as well. So we're going to go to blue books, see what we can accomplish.
Ooh, the investor right in front here would be pretty annoying for Hunu
Oh,
to
it's
look
fingerprintable.
at.
It's a green test fingerprint as well. We'll see if Hunu's on top of that, actually. I'm not sure.
It is a difficult fingerprint, which makes it even better for Scout because it's harder for the snap. Ooh, the snap! Are we being suspected for something?
Maybe
The laser snapped right to us.
What that looked like to me, because there was no highlight, is just trying to figure out which twin is which. Right? Something that I'll often do is I'll just hover over a twin to figure out which twin is
Mhm.
where. And so I can accurately reflect that in my memory. But that is scary if you're the spy, right? And
Mhm.
you suddenly have the sniper on you with their laser. That's never a good feeling.
Especially considering that it is gallery, a venue that only has one angle, so the laser doesn't really
We are
need to change
done
much.
with fingerprints. 2 minutes 20 left in this game. We need one more flirt. Unfortunately, we are at 98%. Something we
Yeah,
neglected to
that was a
mention.
little bit of a shame, but on the other hand, a very nice little early start. Could go into a very quick finish, could even go into a little bit of a slower game to measure it out in the end.
Indeed.
Seem like we're less suspicious.
Our last flirt is available nearby. We can go to the blue bookcase here. Ambassador once again. Oh, but our ST leaves. Scout shaking their camera just a bit there. Um,
Hate to see it.
you do hate to see it if you're Scout. Twins have been at blue bookcases a lot this game. I will note because both twins have been there, and now we're taking ours
And
out.
are we putting it back into green?
That's a good question. It might go back into green.
And are we gonna get shot for it? How likely are we to get shot for it?
It really depends. I mean, there's still quite a few people in this party because there has been no contact yet, which may
Mhm.
change after this conversation visit. Yeah, there it goes. Contact coming off. It's going to let off once again quite a few lights. That back conversation is, in particular, quite sparse. And something that you don't really want to see, especially with the fact that there's only one real conversation in the first place. That could be a lot of highlights in the front, but Hunu doesn't take it.
On the other hand, you have mentioned that both twins have been seen at blue bookshelves, so that might just reinforce the memory. You know how we were talking about memory contamination last set? I think it's a little bit like it, where the twins might get confused and the wrong
Wow,
uh,
our ST is
bookshelf
being
memory.
very unkind right now. We cannot find this last flirt for the life of us. And this might be another game where it's if we just got one more green flirt, it would be a lot. Our game would look so much better, similar to balcony. But we're down to 22
This
seconds.
this is a gallery game of all time,
And
right here.
salmon, please. Okay, we're just gonna have to slam this book.
Just
That's the
settling
only
down.
option.
White test, 100%. Good.
Can we go for a bug instead, perhaps?
10,
Ambassador's coming our way, but we don't
9,
see him, so we have to
8,
go for this book slam. What does
5,
Hunu know?
4. The book is in.
It goes in. He's hovering over Rocker, though. It's the wrong person. If the shot comes off, it's wrong.
Well, it does. Overtime shots do not help anyone. So, what is Rocker being down for? I'm gonna guess a bug as well,
I'm not
just
certain.
based
Let's
on
see.
that path
Rocker's been
at
highlighted
around
for
6
quite a long time in
seconds.
this game.
Because what other mission can she be completing at around 10 seconds?
Let's see. We have.
Only bug?
There was a highlight for the first briefcase here, and then I'm not sure. She kind of doesn't do much for the rest of this game. It looks like she gets contact, but she's standing out in this front conversation for just a million years. I honestly am not sure. Maybe there's a suspected bug right here. No.
What? The sniper's mind works in various ways. And you thought that you've seen everything? Get ready for more of that as we are going over to Terrace. Anyways,
Going over to Terrace, even Steven.
very
2-2
open
right now.
sidelines. And Hunu playing mom.
Yep. Let's get it going in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
A little bit of AI control, slightly more than you usually see in high echelons of play. Because usually people like doing time of chaos stuff, so they tend to take control as quickly as possible. Ooh, a few lowlights.
Just
the
on
AI.
cast in this case. I think it was an
Yeah.
accidental low light onto Cowboy there, briefly. pretty slow start to this game. Terrace, one of those more difficult venues to really find early game plays on, just because everything is kind of concentrated in that one area. It's really hard to be out of
And it's
attention.
also all windswept, so not really a good angle from which you in which you can be hidden
We have a
by
couple
the,
of lowlights
from the
already from
sniper.
Scout. Look at that.
Yeah, this
And the
is
correct.
pretty fascinating actually. Just some behavioral stuff. I mean, it is a smaller venue, so behavioral uh, tendencies will benefit more on these, I think, compared to some of the larger ones where you definitely want to spend most of your attention camping. So,
I think actually, because you have a lot of time compared to the missions you need to do, behavioral tendencies tend to be weaker, but they're more important because AIs can complete more often. Right?
yeah, but we've just had a nerf to the duration of
Banana bread.
Terrace
A
setup that
fake contact. That's gonna be let off 3 lowlights. I think that's above average for Terrace. Oh, we don't. Oh, not even. Wait a
it
second.
is a known fake for us.
We only
You
get the
have been
one low
talking about
light.
those.
I think Scout was looking in the background of the venue and just wasn't sure if Twin and Disney were out actually for the contact or if they'd gone to Windows after the BB. Which is a little awkward.
It's nice to see some humility from the sniper on one side, but on the other side, it will hurt us in this particular case. So
Yeah.
I think it's usually a good thing, but in this particular case, makes it a little bit worse. We are gonna pick up a delegate alongside a fingerprint, which is something that a scout will need to note.
Yeah, fingerprint here for us. We have no other progress though. It's 50%. 50 seconds on the clock, rather.
And there is a known banana bread on the venue as well. We do have a highlight on text here for, I presume, the fingerprint finish.
Oh! Did he have fingerprints done? Let's see.
I don't know, but he definitely wasn't the real banana bread, I believe.
he had 2 briefcases. 2 fresh briefcases and had real contact. That's unfortunate for Scout, I think. It's really hard not to shoot that a lot of the time, just because it's just someone completing missions.
But it is a pretty nice reminder to all of us that fake banana breads exist and they are actually pretty good. Because I see people don't do them at all.
Yeah,
Usually.
it worked out very well there, but definitely a bit unfortunate for Scout, I think, given that just you had an AI complete on you, and that is why what we were talking about was like that behavioralism kind of angle. It might be a little bit weaker just because of the more time compared to the amount of missions, right? On this venue you have 3:15 to complete 3 missions. On Ballroom, for example, you have 3:30 to complete 4 missions. It's only 15 seconds more, so you have a lot more time to kind of just stand around on these on Terrace, and so it's harder to get those behavioral reads. However, they can be that much more important because of shots like this. Just a bit unfortunate, a bit of bad luck, and maybe another sniper could hold if you're doing a lot of behavioral stuff, but either way, it's a difficult spot to be in, and I don't think anyone really blames the shot. However, that does mean that Hunu is leading for the time being, and Scout needs to find a way back in with a spy win here once again.
Indeed, we are gonna be playing here in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Really AI control, as you mentioned. We don't want to stop in that conversation, so we take control really quickly once we start stopping. A little bit of a shake, because we can't get next to our ST immediately.
The ST is not too far away, and they are they are just gonna start moving as soon as we do.
It's fine. We can follow.
Some fascinating voodoo stuff here.
34% on the first flirt. We've been seeing a lot of white flirts, unfortunately, from Scout here. Multiple games that would have been a lot easier, or even outright wins, had green tests come in. But not now.
As you have mentioned previously, it's very easy to say that I want to win every single game. I really want to get every single test and have all of them be green, unfortunately. Doesn't
All
quite
green
work
test
like
is
this for
fun.
some reason.
I
Oh
have I
no, the
have
game is
played
just...
matches that are
That's
all
a...
green tests. Nice attempt on the bug, I think. Unfortunately, Ambassador was going to the bar and not to the other side of the venue, but it was a very good attempt in my opinion, just because it's very hard to see, and it's actually much more likely that the Ambassador was going to the other side of the venue rather than the bar, comparatively. So when you
And
have that likelihood of getting the bug, it's just basically a free try. Oh, we actually go for a purloin here. It's gone.
and the
And it's going to be
and
a
the
briefcase
other...
as well.
Oh boy. And we have a fingerprint in hand on the drink as well.
But we have to fingerprint this briefcase while moving now, because we fingerprinted the drink
Silent
first.
game. Silent game.
We didn't go for the... Oh, maybe it was a dead briefcase.
Oh no.
I mean, it was obligated either way, but maybe it was dead.
And now we are just gonna get shot for the banana bread if it's real for us, so I really want to fake here.
Yeah, fake. I
I
mean,
really want to
I
fake
feel
here
like you
from
have to
Scout.
take a contact right now, right? Because you always, if you're the real spy here, you always take that contact. So when you don't take it, when it's perfect and you're in fake, I feel like the sniper can start low letting people in for the real conversation.
There is one low that you can infer from it, which would be correct. And yeah,
Okay.
I think now we are just committed to the 4 out of 7 terrace variant, because I'm
It's not 4 out of
pretty
7.
certain that going for a real banana bread just kills us.
Yeah, it's not 4 out of 7 though, because the sniper has to pay a lot, like, just by definition on terrace, you have to pay a lot of attention to who actually has the real contact, right? You can't just assume anyone who's not in, anyone who's still a, a neutral light or a highlight has it. You can't just do that. On some venues you do, because it's too strenuous to track who actually has real. Here comes
And we're
the
going for a second
contact.
banana bread.
But it's so... Is Hunu gonna shoot? You have to shoot at some point. Yes, it's Smallman though. It's the wrong shot.
That is fascinating. So Hunu gets it in time for the shot to take before the missions are completed, but Smallman isn't really in that banana bread.
Yeah, and that... I'm not sure...
So you're shooting mission completion for a known fake, which is a little bit suspicious to me.
Well, I mean, this was a good frame on Smallman, actually. Look at this. Because Smallman next to us, he came to us, and we take for him. So, Smallman being the shot there doesn't shock me. Although...
So you're just saying that Hunu has shot for Smallman framing us, which...
Maybe. I mean, I guess. Actually, I guess Smallman doesn't have real is the problem. But regardless, I think that's a good attempt at a frame from Scout. And gets away with it.
Because, like, my biggest issue here is if Hunu shoots Smallman for framing here, Smallman doesn't actually have a real banana bread here, so there's no need to shoot for this contact, because Smallman doesn't get anything out of it.
Yeah, but if you don't shoot Smallman and you think it's Smallman, you're still losing that game, because the spy is in mission win countdown. So I don't think it really makes a big difference as for the outcome this time. But it is something to keep in mind. You do want to wait until who you think is the spy actually has 3 missions, just in case.
We've looked at my favorite venue. Let's look at yours.
Oh, it's beautiful. We finally have some ballroom. Hunu playing Pearls once again. Wait, no, this is the first time we've had Pearls this set. Never mind, not once again.
We've had a few Pearls before, but this is the first one here. Yes.
All right, let's get it going in 3, 2, 1. Playing it.
Do you think that ballroom is a big venue?
It's not a small venue. It's like medium. It's perfect. It's just right.
Because picking slower spies is definitely a trade-off. For example, Pearls here has some very slow statue cycles, which might help with getting those inspects done. But how much of a trade-off is it really for a venue as medium-sized as ballroom?
Getting the early highlight, but we also do have the early inspects, and we could finish up our flirt right here. In fact, we could be done with 3 missions immediately if we had green flirted there. Unfortunately, that is not to be, but the Ambassador does come nearby. A contact bug may be in our future into a quick flirt finish. That would be a very fast way to do it, but the Ambassador
That would be a very OP way of doing it, but Unfortunately, Hunu is not OP, and the Ambassador is done with this theorizing, just moving over to the bookshelves, leaving us in the dust.
Yeah. I'm wondering if Scout might be crediting Red Dress Bug now. After that walk past the Ambassador, they weren't really angled for it as well as they could have been. Now they are, of course, watching people in the back pathing by the Samba. ST comes
The,
back to us, allowing us to finish this flirt.
the weird thing about inferring bugs is that you really would expect the sniper to shoot for them if they know that it's a bug, right? And if they don't know that it's a bug, they would at least highlight maybe. But here, Scout is either not inferring anything or just keeping her cards close to her chest, which is correct for the sniper versus spy play in the set, but very annoying for us as casters.
Yeah, just inspect and flirt done. Contact available no longer as the double agent bails on us. So Hunu starting to maybe run a little bit low on time, especially if the double agent starts to be a little bit obstinate about getting into conversation. I've definitely seen
75
double
seconds on the
agents
clock.
stay out of conversation for longer than minute 15. So, absolutely possible. We see the double agent not going to conversation yet. Hunu
I see
watching
you've
the
also
double agent
played
very.
gallery.
Yeah. Hunu
Oh, and
watching
the
double agent very
ambassador
closely
joins
though.
right next to us.
Yeah. Perhaps missing an opportunity for a reverse drive-by, although that would have been pretty clear.
And
It's a
we're
bug.
bugging here. Oh, that one's
Ooh,
visible.
yeah, and it wasn't even close enough to be a standing bug anyway. Um, yeah, plant bug while walking, or was it? Or did the
The
ambassador start?
beginning,
Yeah,
the beginning of the animation is actually pretty subtle. It's the end of it that gets us.
yeah. Well, I mean, there is that elbow sticking out right here as well.
Yeah,
The main thing here is I think Hunu either Hunu was intentionally starting a walking bug to see if the ambassador would path by him this way, and if that's the case, then you get the bug, or just didn't realize that he wasn't in range for that bug. And one thing to note is that there's an easy way to tell if you're playing. There's an easy way to tell if you're in range for that standing bug. When you are in range, it will say plant bug on ambassador on the interface. Whereas if you're not in range, it'll say begin planting bug, which means that you are going to begin a walking bug. So, unfortunate there for Hunu. Whatever the intention was behind that bug, it didn't quite work out, and Scout is going to find that sniper win. So well done there.
and after all that, Scout is actually slightly ahead.
Yeah, still needs
Who
to
knew?
convert it with the spy side.
Let's see if she can.
In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And that's a second Alice that we've seen. I think a second Alice that we've seen from Scout as well.
Let me check for you. It is. Yeah, it is. We saw Alice last spy game from Scout as well.
Man, it's so nice to have a TO who actually knows how to host things that can quickly check stuff for me instead of just being no vibes based. That
I
is
don't know
refreshing.
who you could possibly be referring to. I think all of our TOs are quite good in this community. So
Also, a TO that actually can fetch venue sets for me because when I'm casting myself, I don't know, I just go. I
just
don't
to
even
go.
know what we're playing, and I
100%
don't know
fair.
where we're dropping, but all I know is that Sidious is done.
We've been sad about like green tests for Scout for a little while here, but this game has been a plethora of them for both the microfilm and both flirts. So lots of time on the clock, a good amount of progress here, looking kind of good. No suspicion, but still a long way to go. This game is by no means over.
Seduction target right next to us, but that mission is done, which means that now we might be looking around, seeing that maybe there's a print here and there, maybe there's a book potentially ripe for taking out, but so far it doesn't show anything. The spy is just playing a very slow, careful, silent game, waiting for the AIs to become more and more suspicious.
All right, into the bookcase we go, looking for our second one, and Taft is here to cover it up a little bit as well. Ambassador on the other side of the venue, people walking by the Ambassador, Taft kind of in our area to cover up our arm should it be doing anything, and now looking at Toby, even with the white test, it's basically free, I think, given all of the attention spent elsewhere.
But as my favorite example of abuse statistics will tell you, it's a second action test microfilms that kills you, not the first one.
Yeah.
However, we aren't even gonna be doing those because I'm blind. I'm just blind. I didn't see the
Ooh,
book.
this is a fingerprintable center statue. Could this be a silent game with fingerprints?
Potentially. It also bumps us right to the top of that suspicion table,
I mean,
which
if there's
might
no
make
contact.
things it might make things a little bit scary once we go to the blue bookshelf for that second print.
Oh, these are
Or
both
just go to
printable.
the side.
These are both
Wow.
printable.
That is so cute.
What a finish. I love this. This
That is nice.
transfer, inspect, fingerprint, seduce, and it's going to work beautifully. Scout, fully aware of where those fingerprints are, comes up with a way to finish that is pretty unique, I'd say. You don't often see this setup of missions on Ballroom, or really on any venue, and I think that's part of why they get away with this one.
A clean little finish by Scout here.
Yeah,
They
very
will
nicely
definitely be
done.
happy with this one. And also catapult them in the lead.
Yeah. And now on to Modern, where we do have Hunu on the spy side, now down a little bit, but of course, still always a chance to come back. We saw that in the last set, where, in fact, Ytterbijum came back to 5-5 on this very venue. So,
Let's see if Teal has it.
let's see if Hunu can replicate the successes of Ytterbijum, despite Yitter not winning that match in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Right. A little bit of AI control. A lot of AI control, actually.
Yes, this is a lot of AI control.
Getting us to the bookshelf as well, that's the thing I hate about AI control. Always gets me into mission sites and I have to click stuff now and run action tests. That's so annoying. Hunu, on the other hand, will just take the book out and pretend it never happened.
So far, so good for Hunu. Ambassador jumps in right next to us. This could be a bug opportunity. We could try to take it while walking out of the conversation, as I believe Disney would block our arm sticking out from that angle. But we don't go for that or the standing bug. So playing this relatively slow here for Hunu, but that also means that we have no progress yet.
I think that book also has to go into blue, because Modern is a venue known for book chases. The snipers usually pay some attention to early book goers, which means that Hunu will definitely be remembered standing at blue,
I'm not sure
or
about definitely.
is more likely to be remembered standing in blue than compared to other venues, say Ballroom.
Perhaps, yeah. It's definitely one of those venues where you want to be watching books early, just especially because of how close blue and green are to each other. It's really easy to do those cheeses. But of course, it really will depend on what Hunu decides to do. If this goes back innocently, we might even see a low light. We have seen a couple of, more speculative low lights out of Scout this set. So, if that, I'm not, it hasn't been that many, so you can't, it's not reliable in terms of, I'm going to put this back wrong, I'm going to get a low light. But it's possible, I'd say. And Hunu might be gunning for that.
I mean, it's always a nice little balancing act between how much do you expect the spies to play off of that and how much do you actually get out of it. Which, so far for Scout, I don't think it was necessarily too bad.
85% on the flirt now. Hunu giving some camera swings to indicate the displeasure at the white test there. So, still a lot of work to do in this game. I know you said you want this to go back into blue, but I think at this point it has to go back into somewhere else.
Oh, it has to go somewhere else, yeah, because otherwise we're way behind on time.
Yeah. But there's a highlight. Look at this. Highlight as Hunu walks into green bookshelves. I think that means that we might be dead.
And
If not
that is
now, then later.
why I didn't like it. If you spawn into the bookshelf on Modern, you either book cheese immediately or you put it back, because otherwise the snipers are likely to know it and you are dead. And with the book cheese, you are also dead if they notice, but in that case, at least you get a mission out of it immediately
And
without
Scout
having to
comes
wait
off.
3 minutes
Scout must have had
before.
a pretty high level of certainty on that book.
Well, I mean, we've spent like what, a solid 10 seconds standing at that bookshelf at the start of the match when the snipers usually remember those things.
Yeah, and I think you might have been right, Yosh. Just because it was that that early part of the game where books are going to be further up in the mind than they might otherwise be, especially on Modern. Scout was all over it, and actually has already secured a draw with 6 points to 3, and looking for a spy win here on Modern to finish off the set.
It's so nice. Not only we get an entertaining stream, but also an educational one. And Scout here actually playing as Theft, who many people would pick as an ambassador.
Yeah, but Taft does have a lot to recommend him as the spy. Very speedy, has some animations that can be tricky.
Let's talk about it after the game starts, shall we?
All right, sure. Let's get it going in 3, 2, 1, playing it. Taft is the fastest character in the game. It's actually a little bit deceptive, just because, he's a bigger fellow. You might not expect him to be so speedy, but he zooms around.
Dubish moving, and 49% on the flirt keeps us into a in the 2 flirt range, so not the highest number, but still pretty happy with what I have here for now.
Yeah, pretty good to start off here for Scout. However, we may want to get moving. We'll see. Scout may be looking for an opportunity, maybe looking for some prints. Prints have been pretty successful for Scout so far, I'd say.
And prints are actually very powerful because while the spy can allocate more of their mind space to tracking those prints, for snipers there's just way too much stuff, and usually those prints are gonna get knocked out, especially if they're difficult and such. So a very nice mission to go for spies who definitely prefer to be more slower with their playstyle.
Yeah, 92% now. Did not get that 2 flirt, although did get 2 greens. Just wasn't close enough for it.
Well, there's going to be our delegate in pocket. There's an ambassador right next to us, but actually, how are Theft's bugs? I know that bugs on Theft are great, but Theft's bugs are a little bit of a mystery to me usually.
Well, I was actually going to mention this before the game, before we started, but Taft bugs can be actually a little bit tricky. Traditionally speaking, his bug, in particular his walking bug, is not the best. It does stick out quite a lot. However, compared to other characters, his walking bug animation resembles his actual walking animation a lot more than some other characters, which can be very tricky to parse for a sniper. Which means that the bug is actually pretty decent.
In the meantime, we have actually sent Smallman to take the list, and he has just taken that.
Yeah, Purloin
Doesn't
is done now.
seem like there's a reaction yet. We are gonna gulp here.
Gulp with a slight animation break. We'll see what Hunu's reaction is to the Purloin. I think it's
The
insane.
lowlights are being taken.
See highlights.
Aren't too many of them. And looks like we have another clean little game on our hands. With a lowlight ourselves as well, so Scout.
Yeah, is that going to stick? Sometimes those don't stick, but it's a good sign.
Those are the 2 big questions, right? Is it gonna stick, and does the spy know about it? Because if the spy thinks it's a highlight, it might just result in Scout playing even more scared and possibly missing the timestamp for which we need to complete our missions on.
I think Scout's definitely going to complete missions, but, thinking you're a lowlight versus thinking you're a highlight, the missions you complete become a lot different. If you think you're a lowlight, you can probably just do a couple of soft tells and not risk anything. But in this case, look at this. It's a swap, right?
Ooh,
We're gonna
it
try
is a
for
green.
it's a green swap, which is helpful.
Oh, that's good.
And we're going for a bug as well. Wow, that's actually a really good
Beh-
bug, even if we were a neutral light or a highlight. We're
Behind the
go,
whole conversation, there's just no way in hell you see that bug.
and
Unless you're looking for it, which...
I think
Whatever.
most other characters also don't even get that bug because you
And the
need the
highlight is going
speed.
in for the statue. Look at this. Red dress. The swap is here. The swap is on screen. Hunu probably shoots now.
Yeah, but I think maybe Hunu
3,
saw glimpsed
2,
the
1.
fade.
There it is.
Yeah, I think that the delay there was Hunu actually saw that fade and wasn't sure about it. Saw the fact that it was green, but couldn't parse who had been there before. Perhaps either that, or it was just looking around to be sure it was no one else, and then finally taking the shot. Either way, Scout wins the set. That's 7-3. We had four Scout games in a row.
Yep. I really like that Hunu is taking his time with the shots, because you do have that 10-second window. And the terrace shot was almost on the 10-second mark. And this shot is actually pretty late as well. So I do like that Hunu is being more cerebral with his mission win countdowns. But so far, those haven't yielded the results that Hunu is looking for.
Yeah.
And now that you're behind, you're just playing for tiebreak points, and I'm not sure how much Hunu will be trying. Zamarel is shotted by now.
Yeah, the way the group stages work, we do play all 12 games regardless of the scoreline, because the actual scoreline does matter. The amount of games that you win can matter for tie breaks later on at the end of the group stage. So these last two games, while they're not going to contribute to the win, tie, or loss record seen out of this match, they might end up being important, especially if Scout is to challenge for that second place spot in the group. So, Hunu now on the Spy side, playing as Duke, perhaps for a little bit of redemption after the last 4 games. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And yeah, that is a very important point that you are bringing. Those games are actually way more important for Scout compared to Hunu, because Scout is now the one who is dedicated. Let's try to get a place in playoffs.
Yeah, of course, it's not over for Hunu. This is just one match after all. But when your other 2 matches are Levty and Screwloose, you really wanted to win this one. It was very important. You can still win the other 2 and make it out of groups, but dang, if that's not a difficult thing to accomplish.
Well, Hunu now just standing behind that pillar. Not
Yeah,
much happening in the party, not much happening on the laser side.
pretty slow start here. Yeah.
And the library is weird, because it always seems to start so slow compared to other places where
Maybe. You've
some
got a lot
early
of
cheeses
things to
are
do, though.
possible.
Lots of ways to be off screen.
And the red.
A couple of low lights are going to come out here after this contact. Only 3, 4, actually. We do get 4. So Scout taking that one on Alice, despite being relatively off screen, probably remembering that Alice was indeed in the corner during the time of the contact.
That isn't too bad. 34% on the flirt. We are gonna stop talk here, and we are being offered, which means that it's
a white
Perline
Purloin.
time.
But
It's
it's
a white.
off screen still. It's off screen, and now
And we
Toby's
are
offering to General, and it's not been seen yet. And General's
Oh
the highlight.
no! Oh, this is.
Oh no! And Scout, I
Is
think.
Is it timing when the Toby appears from behind the pillar? Is that enough for you to infer that Purloin was
I think it's just enough, but either
not
way,
General?
I think that this is a bit of a hasty shot. General does have the center inspects, so is a very highly threatening character. So in general, the shot is understandable. However, this is so early, right? This is a 5 of 8 venue. You can wait for another mission. You would have to be crediting Bug and a quick 2 flirt, pretty much, for this
The
shot
game
to be.
hasn't even lasted 2 minutes by the
Yeah.
time the shot has been taken.
I think that this is Scout just getting a bit hasty, and it's unfortunate that the person right after the white purloin for Scout was probably the biggest suspect, but that's definitely one that you can kind of handle. I think if you just slow down a little bit, low light the rest of the party, have those two as your remaining highlights, and you probably still win that game. But that's just a little bit hasty at a Scout.
The
And
other thing is, you have already won the set, right?
yeah,
You are on 7 points, so you are maybe gonna be a little bit more loose with your shots, more
yeah.
fast, more loose, because you don't really care about those tiebreak points too much
Hmm.
when you're playing the game. Until they actually matter, they don't mean anything. So
I suppose, yeah. I mean, it definitely probably has some of that in there. Maybe Scout was feeling a bit confident as well from winning 4 games in a row. Whatever it was, just a bit fast of a shot. Again, it's not going to hurt Scout too much, but still, definitely something that could be avoided. Scout now on the spy side in the final game of our cast today, playing as Wheels. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
oh boy, I'm still very unsure about the Will's pick.
I mean, I like Wheels picks. It's fun. There's a lot of, we've already gone over it this cast, but there's a lot to recommend Wheels. Oh,
I mean,
that sticks? That
Ooh.
sticks? Are you kidding me? I
And
have to.
that hand is completely on screen, but because the laser was dashing around, you don't see things while you're moving.
I did
Scout
not
gets
expect
away
that to
with it.
stick. When I saw that bug happening, it
Wow.
looked like it was just gonna miss. But Wheels and the Ambassador get back in range of each other just briefly, right when it checks for the distance.
And
And
you have been bringing up fun factor, and I think after that I have to agree. Yeah, Wheels is actually very good.
25% on the flirt now. 3:45 left on the clock. Plenty of time. It's a beautiful start if you're not suspected for it, and it does not seem like Scout is.
The one issue that I can see happening is because you have a mission done, you might think that
Oh my
you
gosh, microfilm
are
too.
better on pacing than you usually are,
Well, Scout's not slowing down. Look at
and
this.
delay things a little bit too far, but doesn't seem to be an issue right now. We do have the microfilm removed, and still no suspicion placed on us at all, but it only takes one little gust of wind to bring down the house of cards, so
Yeah, I
we'll
mean,
see.
I'm surprised we didn't go try to flirt with General at Green Bookcase there. It would technically be illegal. AIs will never path from a bookcase directly to another bookcase, but most snipers aren't going to notice that. And the opportunity to get both your microphone finished and another flirt in is pretty big. So we instead go over to this double agent. Not a bad decision at all, I think.
I mean, as we all know in SpyParty, it's only illegal if the sniper thinks it is, so... And I'm not sure that the sniper is thinking about wheels at all at this point, so...
Well, we're going. We don't want to join our ST at blue because we've already been there. It's a silly
We
place to
are
be
gonna
at blue.
go to green, though.
We're looking for our second microfilm here. It's a pretty good spot for it. Not many things happening in the middle of the venue right now.
It's a white
Ambassadors on,
nest!
but
The laser dashes around! It's invisible. I
yeah,
don't think it was noticed.
it's just like because of how everything's kind of spread out to the right and the left of the venue. Hunu might be going over Scout, but isn't really comprehending Scout. And now we have bug and transfer, and look at this, a green time ad.
And the time ad? Scout is definitely doing some... You know what? Yeah, yep.
That was actually a really nice bounce from Scout. That was
That-
legitimately quite good.
That right here feels like the only justification to pick Wheels for me without the fun factor being brought in, because Wheels has some whack pathing. At least, it's common knowledge that Wheels has whack pathing. The jury's still out on if he actually does.
Does Scout know that they're low lit?
I don't know, but at this point we have a time ad, we have 2 missions done, and Actually, now we are dipping a little bit behind in pace. Like now we need
140 on the clock still. I think this is plenty of time to get contact, flirt, and like center
our
inspects.
our flirt is on 25 though. Flirt is usually the biggest measurement of pace, and now it definitely feels like we haven't flirted enough. And with each passing second, it only becomes worse.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this. I think you need to take a contact here. I
But what if
another
I told
time
you
ad.
that there is a different way to fix pacing issues? Another time that is on the clock.
We have another
Uh,
time ad.
get
I think it's pretty clear that Scout does not know that they're low lit, because if they knew, there just would be none of this like hesitancy in getting missions done. Just contact, just flirt, just center inspects, right? But
just play fast and loose like you were playing, and that would keep on working.
yeah, I'm not sure what the slowdown is about from Scout.
On the
But
other hand, it is kind of like what we were talking about last set, where the first cheese, if you get away with it, it's great. The more cheeses you do in the given game, only increases the chances of you getting caught, and once you get caught, the values that you've gotten from the previous cheeses is neutered. So
right. Well, we're
I think that
still
after the microfilm, after the bug, the
another
bug was
time ad.
okay. I'm not sure what Scout is doing right now. Honestly, I can try to justify things for as long as I can, but so far it's just
Okay.
weird.
Okay, now we flirt, we go center inspects, and we win, right? This
We
is the
flirt,
time.
we go swap, and we get shot.
I
Oh no, we flirt, we go purloin, it's a white, and we get shot. There,
I
I
don't like
found your
this.
sequence.
I don't like this sequence.
I don't like it either, but that seems like where we're heading right now.
All right. Well, now it's time for center inspects, right?
The beeps are up, the beeps are slow, so Hunu knows the time has been added. He doesn't know how much,
Yeah. I mean,
unless he's
you
sitting
actually
here with a
don't know how
stopwatch.
much when you have subsequent green tests like this. Scout looking over towards the statues here. You know, when's that gonna happen, eh? You actually, if you wait too long, this might go to overtime. Is the thing.
I told you it's gonna be either a timeout or a hardtail into shot.
Oh
There's just
no. Oh no. We're trying to frame Irish. She's an SDA.
well, there's going to be your swap in
Don't
just
swap.
about a
No.
moment. It's a white
Oh,
test.
it's way
The
up in
line,
the air.
the line king.
Can Hunu figure it out though?
5,
No
4.
way.
Scout. Oh my
Oh,
god. They
that's
really
gonna
thought
hurt.
they were away with this game. Like, they really thought they were a highlight this entire time. Honestly, by the time you make a third time ad and you're not dead for it, you probably can assume that you're not a highlight.
Yeah, that's gotta hurt. Especially once you realize you were a low light at the end of the game.
And then we just spend a lot of time just waiting out. And the issue is, if you're doing nothing, the highlight is not gonna get brought down. Hunu is not a player that will bring his highlights down for inactivity. So you will just keep staying a highlight, and yeah, as I've
Yeah,
said, a hardtail into a shot.
that game is a bit unfortunate in the back half, but I think it is you know, a good like kind of lesson potentially. Is when you have like bug and transfer done clean, or at least seemingly clean, on any venue really, it doesn't matter. Just kind of finish in a very standard way, because bug and microfilm, neither of them leave traces, right? So the sniper is going to credit you with a lot less progress than you actually have. So going center inspects here, even if you're just a neutral light, you're almost certainly not getting shot. So I think that that's maybe just maybe trying to get a little bit too fancy from Scout, or maybe just possibly thinking that they were more suspicious than they were.
I mean, to be fair, you have won the match, so you are playing fast and loose. But yeah, definitely, I think the main thought after seeing that laser right on top of you as you're bugging, uh, and that probably was inferred to be a highlight.
Yeah,
Oh
well,
well.
I mean, Hunu does get a couple of games back right at the end, but still, it is Scout coming away with the victory in this set. So it's a you know, very impressive from Scout in those 4 games in particular that boosted them straight to 7-3.
Yeah, those are some very clean spy games, especially because like sniper games are nice and all, but it's the spy games where you really win the set, and those spy games from Scout have been very, very nice.
Yeah, I think that the same kind of mindset that got us that game and going for a little bit too much with the swap frame for
Mhm.
for the SDA at the end, that same kind of mindset brought us the ballroom game where we had fingerprint inspect microfilm flirt as a finish. And so I think if Scout just like steps back a little bit on some of these games and realizes when it's time to just complete in the normal way, their spy is going to look really, really good going forward.
So what you're saying is that those few games have been looking well. That game have not been looking great, but the main theory behind it is good, and
Well,
you just need to
I would say that I would
take a step back and rethink your strategy once in a while.
I would say that it was a bit over applied.
Mhm.
Like we saw a brilliant ballroom game, and that same
Yes.
kind of method was applied in this a library game, but it was a bit over applied. You know, you
Mhm.
went a little bit too far, and that caused an unfortunate loss. But I
Yeah,
always
I
love
agree.
creative ideas on the spy side, and that is what Scout has been showing off in this set. So very impressive, and that will
Yep.
be our cast for today. Um, thank you, Yosh, for being here with me.
Thank you, OP, for hosting me, and thanks for watching, everyone.
Yeah.
Play your games, please.
And if you're in the Winter Cup, please play all of your matches before next week. If you haven't played any, me, um,
Come on, OP.
get on that. This game, if you are unfamiliar, has been Spy Party. You can get it on spyparty.com or on Steam. Either way, it is the
And to
same game.
participate in the tournaments, please join the Discord at discord.com/spyparty. I believe we do have Penguin Pool coming up soon, so
Yes, that is
a nice little jumping in fun.
discord.gg/spyparty because they are weird and have their own .gg type thing. However, it is still discord.gg/spyparty. And yes, as Yosh mentioned, we have the Penguin Pool, which is an auxiliary tournament for the Winter Cup for those who were, knocked out in groups or, just eliminated earlier on and want to play some more competitive games. It's also for players who missed the Winter Cup signups and want to play some competitive games of their own. So lots and lots of people that can join. Anyone can join. Just sign up when signups open in the Discord.
And yeah, the signups should be open tomorrow.
Yes,
So
looks like we have Wrestler, our great organizer for it, in chat saying that the announcement will be tomorrow. So if you're interested in getting in some competitive play in Spy Party, just like you've seen here, that's where you will want to go. And with that, I think that is everything. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful evening.